Welcome, metal fans, to another episode of Above the Metal, and I'm your host, Jeff C. And on today's show, we have Justin Hoffman, guitarist of 7th Overture. Not only is he the guitarist for 7th Overture, but he actually makes his own guitars that he plays, and those are Overture guitars. And he actually has another website there on YouTube. It's JW's Guitar Shop, where he actually takes other guitars and stuff and kind of modifies them and just kind of shows you step-by-step things on how he does modifications on guitars. And like I said, he did make the Overture guitars. I think back in 2013, he said he actually got to go to Namm and has two signature guitars for Stryper, Tim Gaines and Michael Sweet. And I've got a little clip of that showing him back there with them guys hanging out, and got to showcase some of his guitars at Namm. Not only does he have the band, makes the guitars, and actually I forgot too, he does actually make another signature guitar, for Jeff Sheets, and he's on YouTube also, and he plays in some bands and stuff, and so he does have a signature guitar for him, and he actually plays a little lead on one of the songs on their new album too. So and again, like I said, not only with playing in the band, doing the guitar work, and having the YouTube channels, him and his wife actually got some training, and then they started up preparing the fields, and it's kind of a street evangelism, and they actually get other couples and friends and families and all that, and then they actually go out to Chicago. I think they've seen Kentucky Derby, they've been to some other sporting events, Bloomington, downtown Peoria, and they're just fulfilling God's will, is actually preaching to all nations, and they just get their Bibles, get up there, and they just read from the Bibles and actually get the witness to people out on the streets and stuff. So I got some clips on that with them out there doing that. And also Justin just finished, I think his book, I think it was part of last year, but it just now come out, and it's called It's Only a Book. And it kind of covers the part where, you know, people always want to debate, hey, how can I believe the Bible when men wrote it? And Justin actually gets into where he was actually talking to somebody, and they kind of said that to him, and it just kind of clicked, like, you know what? I need to write a book about that. And he did just that. So I've got a little clip on that too. So we'll get into first 7th Overture. I'll show you some little clips on that here. So there's a little bit of their artwork, and Justin was telling me back in the days it was just Overture. Then he said he met the Lord, and then things started clicking, and then he kind of changed it to 7th Overture. And here's some of the guys in the band here. I know they do have a new lead singer, Dwayne Carr, and there's Justin, one of his guitars, Overture guitars. And I know they were playing at Cornerstone back in the day, Audio Feet, and some other places around. And there's their new album right there, and there's the new lead singer, Dwayne Carr. And we're actually, in the background, you can kind of hear the music there. That's one of the songs from the new album. I think it's Under the Sun, and we're just kind of playing that in the background a little bit for you. But I'll put links on there for the site for 7th Overture on the Facebook, YouTube, and stuff, and they have some videos and some of their music on there. You can go check that out. And here's a little clip here of his guitar shop, JW's guitar shop, where he just kind of previews some guitars on here. Just gives you a little step-by-step on what he's doing. I think that one there is an old Fender or something. He's making into a 12-string, I think. So he's going to be putting all kinds of new videos and stuff out there over time. So just keep an eye out for what he's got going on there, just kind of showing you some of his stuff on there. And I think there's some of his Overture guitars there that he showcased at Namm right there. So the next one I'll go ahead and show you here is the one with Michael Sweet and Tim Gaines. And behind them is the two guitars that Justin made for him. They're signature guitars. And it shows Justin off the side there with Michael Sweet.
Live at 2013 Namm. We are here with Stryper and their new releases from Overture Guitars. I'm going to hand it over to TK, but
how cool
there you go.
How is the Namm show going for you?
It's going great. It's a little overwhelming, man, because there's so much, so many people. It's insane.
Right.
A couple of signature guitars over here.
Yeah.
We've got Tim's bass, which was built how long ago, man? Last year.
This is beautiful.
This is a signature guitar. Absolutely. Justin, Hoffman, who owns Overture Guitars, is a great builder, man, and he does incredible work.
Right.
And he's a great guy. So Tim actually signed on with Justin first, and Tim brought me to Justin as well and put us together, and he built the guitar for me.
Man, well, the stories he'd probably have on that one to be able to, we all kind of grew up in that era that pretty much Stryper, we all know Stryper, we pretty much grew up with Stryper. And then to think, I'm going to be making some signature guitars for him and actually hanging out with him. So, he's probably got some cool stories to tell about that one. So the next one we'll get into is the one where him and his wife, Sherry, they actually started that preparing the fields and everything. So I got some clips there of them out there. And there's Justin, Sherry, and their boys there. And preparing the fields there is... you can find that on Facebook too, and they, like I said, post a lot of pictures of them out there preaching on the streets. Justin's got a thing where he's reading the Bible in the year, I think. Then I think this next clip here, I think is actually Justin out on the streets preaching here.
Himself, put on flesh. He died for you, sir. He died for you. He died for me.
Yeah, there's some of the others that always go with them. And like I said, I'll put the links on there where you could find some more of that and some information about that, and kind of they update when they're going out and doing things too. So you can follow them on Facebook, and I will definitely put the links to that. The next one will be Justin's book that he just put out, and I will definitely have links to the book where you can buy that. It's pretty much about everywhere. I think it's somewhere around like $12 or something like that for it. So here's Justin, his kind of little intro on what the book is.
It's Only a Book is a concise yet definitive Christian apologetic work that rushes headlong into the debate over the authorship of the Bible. Have you ever heard someone ask, how can we trust the Bible if it's written by men? This profound question is one of those powerhouse arguments given from skeptics who don't trust the Bible because it was written by the hands of ordinary people. In the marketplace of ideas, this is one of the top arguments that confronts Christianity. It's Only a Book is one of the most simplistic yet extraordinarily profound assessments to the authorship and validity of the Bible that both skeptics and Christians alike will easily understand. Engage into this thought-provoking discussion crafted to answer the question, is the Bible only a book?
And then I say I'll put links to all these that you've seen on here after we get done. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring him out. So stay tuned. Here he comes, Justin Hoffman.
All right, welcome to the show, and today we have the guitarist for 7th Overture, and actually the creator of Overture Guitars and JW Guitar Shop, and he actually started preparing the fields, and the author of the new book, It's Only a Book. Here we are with Justin Hoffman. Justin, thanks for being on the show today.
Hey, thank you for having me, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, we've got a lot to cover here. Tons of stuff here, but we're going to get started. Let's go back a little bit on 7th Overture, or I guess you called it just Overture way back in the day.
Yeah, we started off as just Overture. And we were more or less, I would say, maybe a secular band when we first started off. Mm-hmm. And as we progressed, and, a few of the guys, they had a relationship with the Lord. I didn't currently have a relationship with the Lord at that time. But as the Lord called me, then we started figuring out, well, maybe we should turn this a different way and maybe change the name of the band. And so we were thinking, well, let's kind of like a, you know, like a godly approach to the word overture. And we thought, well, seventh, you know, it's you know, a number of perfection. So why don't we just call it 7th Overture? So that's how the name kind of came to be.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, when you kind of got going in there with that, I know you brought a few more guys in. Were some of the originals still with you today? I didn't really see all their names.
The originals that are, I would say Tom Lane or Paulie Johnson is what he goes by, the bass player, and Troy Teeney. He's the drummer of the band. So let me rephrase then, Shane Roki. So the four of us that, you know, other than our vocalist, Dwayne Carr, have been kind of the, you know, the leaders of the pack, so to speak, from the beginning. Yeah,
I just seen that you got Dwayne Carr in there now. He's a really good vocalist, and I really got some good stories about him I could like to share later on.
Sure.
Dwayne's a good guy. Now, with that, I did see the new album and everything coming out, and I seen a thing on there you said with what is his name, Jeff Sheets. You said about he's playing something on one of the songs or some of them, or
Jeff Sheets, he put down a sweet solo on These Words Remain. It's the last track on the album, and Jeff and I actually we worked together in my guitar business, Overture Guitars, and I've created a signature Jeff Sheets model guitar, and that's how kind of we got the relationship started. And I asked him if he'd be interested in throwing down a lick on one of our songs, and he was up for the challenge, and he really did a really good job. So you can actually find that song on YouTube, These Words Remain, and you'll be able to hear that solo.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Around, sorry for interrupting. Nope. It's kind of around the latter part of the song, or like in the middle, right around in the middle. So
that's why I was wondering how your relationship with him, because I've listened to some of his stuff, and man, he's a phenomenal guitarist, you know. So I just like wondered how you guys got hooked up with getting him on there. So the guitar, that would be so does he play that guitar all the time, or takes it because you said it's his signature guitar you made?
Yeah, it's called the JS Session guitar. And you could look that up, you know, might be able to find that on the internet. But he has played that guitar in a few of his instructional videos, because he's a guitar instructor online. And I think with, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but you just do a Google search on Jeff Sheets and instructional guitar, and you'll find all sorts of stuff.
All of it on there. Yeah, I've seen some of those instructional videos and stuff like that. I'll have to take a look and see the guitar on there. Now 7th Overture, now you got the new album out. I know with all this COVID and lockdowns and all this stuff going on, but you guys got anything planned for this year? Any touring out there? Any kind of gigs to play? Or
well, the plans are, yes, we want to do that as soon as we have the availability. We have been practicing routinely to try to keep up and ready to go as soon as those venues open up and they have the opportunity to get crowds back together. We're ready to get the album. We didn't get to play it in 2020, so we're ready to play it now. So I seen I was talking to Marshall and even Andreas there a little bit about audio feed coming up, and it's actually, they say it's a go for September, of course, but then you just never know. So, and I think you guys have actually played audio feed a few times, and actually even Cornerstone back in the day. So if that goes on this year, are you guys looking forward to trying to get on there? Yeah, we would love to be invited, or try to figure out how we can get on the bill somehow. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that'll be good. I guess speaking of signature guitars, actually we'll go into that, the Overture Guitars, back, I think, was it 2013 or something? how did the whole Stryper thing come about with the guitars with you? I mean, was that something you kind of knew them, or just, you know, hey, I want to make some guitars for Stryper or Michael Sweet or any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah. I have been a member with Namm and started to showcase my guitars through that organization down in Nashville. And Tim Gaines he was living in Nashville at that time. And so I just reached out to him and asked him if he'd be interested in meeting up and talking gear, talking bass guitars, and that's how we kind of developed that relationship. Was through Facebook, I think was where we met, and then I met him down at the Namm show in Nashville, and he and I had clicked really well, and so he was just telling me what he wanted in his basses, and I was like, yeah, I can do that. You know, we can make this happen. And so I built him a prototype, and he got to playing it and really digged the feel and the sound of the bass guitars that we created. And that's how we got the relationship started, friendship, relationship, whatever you want to call it. And then Michael, he after Tim was playing the bass out for a while on tour, he was talking to Michael about it, and Michael wanted to try one of our guitars, and so I worked with Michael for a while on a Signature V for him, and that's how that started.
So I mean, that definitely, I gotta say, it takes some serious talent to be making some guitars and actually having some of the stars out there actually play on those. When did you really start to make guitars and just feel like, you know, this is something I'm good at and just going after?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. I would say professionally, I started making guitars in about 2008. I've always tinkered around with, building guitar projects, and like I said, Tom Lane, the bass player in 7th Overture, he and I had always put together guitars, tried out new pickups, whatever gear we could get our hands on. And so I've had that knack of just, being familiar with the guitars and bass guitars. But really, it goes back even further than that. In high school, I had a job working in a piano restoration shop here in East Peoria called Blanchard's Fine Tuning. And through that experience, I learned to restore antique pianos, Steinways and Baldwins and all the old pianos that were made back in the 19th and 20th centuries. And so I've always had that knack for knowing how to work with stringed instruments, and so that's kind of where it started. Was really when I was in high school.
Well, I might have something on the wall back here I might have you be looking at before too long. I got some of the wiring. I mean, the wiring and stuff behind this one here is just ridiculous, and I can't figure it out. And I've talked to, I think, Sherry before. I was like, you think you'd work on that guitar for me? Because it definitely needs a little work. So I might definitely. How was that experience being there? I mean, making those guitars and actually being at Namm, and actually was Michael and Tim there with you a lot in your booth there with the guitars a lot, or was it just kind of every once in a while?
Well, I think the video that you may have seen was out in Anaheim, California.
Okay.
At that show specifically, Stryper had come to play at the House of Blues there in Anaheim.
Yep.
And so we had set it up to where that's where I was debuting Michael's Signature V, was in Anaheim. And so in that video, you'll see the whole, Michael and Tim at the booth. Yep. And so we were showcasing Michael's new V, and also Tim Gaines. I had come out with a second model for Tim Gaines. So he had two Signature Stryper basses that I had made for him.
Yeah, I see, because he said something about it. He didn't want to talk too much because he was getting ready to play a gig later. So that must have been the one you're talking about. I didn't catch right where it was at. So, but with that now, do you usually always play your guitars when you guys are playing, or is it, other guitars you play too, or is it just pretty much strictly your guitars you play?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think. The only other guitar that I own other than the Overture guitars is like it's an acoustic. It's a classical guitar. Everything else I play, like let me scroll this over here. I have on the wall. I have my Overture right there, and Sherry's Overture bass in the corner. But yeah, I have the means to make my own guitars, so might as well play them.
Oh, definitely, especially like that. Now, are you still currently making some, or is it kind of just fixing up old ones now type thing? Or are you still actually in them, like selling any, or?
I'm not selling any. I'm making. I have stuff sitting on the bench that I'm making. And you'll start seeing some videos coming out on JW's Guitar Shop of me and the projects that I'm going to be working on here pretty soon. But as far as selling them, we've kind of scaled back doing the business for Overture guitars, just because we have had our family. I have got twin boys, and as soon as they came into our world, that really scaled us back on pursuing the business side of things. But maybe down the line it may pick back up again.
Now, I would take with your playing style, I've always kind of, with your guys' music and stuff, for a lot of people that wouldn't know, is I always refer you guys to kind of that Dream Theater sound and stuff. And with your guitars, those got to be a fast neck on those things, or do you like them a little different, kind of like the older, like Gibson style neck, or even more, like the Ibanez Wizard style neck, or?
I would think just because over the years of playing, and I'm sure you can relate, carpal tunnel starts to become a factor. I can't do the thin necks anymore. In fact, I like not a real thick, like a thick Fender style neck, but kind of in between, kind of like a PRS style. If I was to compare the playability, I would say fall in between a PRS and Gibson, maybe somewhere in that vicinity.
When you're talking that with the carpal tunnel there, Justin, most of your songs are about 20 minutes long.
Yeah, I know.
Out by now.
Yeah, I got to stretch pretty good before we play.
I was gonna say, because there's about the time about 2 songs, mine's going, okay, give me a break here. Let me open them up here and get them woke up again. So, but
yeah, I'm sure you'll see me doing that during a set. I have to do the same thing.
I know I love listening to some of your guys' music, and I'm just like, man, that's 26 minutes long. I'm like, that's definitely like the Dream Theater stuff, because that's very long.
Yeah.
But I guess off of the music now, we can kind of shift gears in a little bit. Preparing the fields. I seen a lot of street evangelism and stuff you guys do, and I seen your site there. You're doing reading the Bible there, about pretty much where you're sitting there. How'd that come about? That's been a while. I've been seeing you guys out street preaching for years, I think.
Yeah. Well, it has started, I would say, probably about 2003. I was a new Christian, and I came across Living Waters Ministry with Ray Comfort and Kirk Cameron.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I started engaging into that style of ministry of, doing street evangelism. And it really just resonated with me. Why am I not doing this? I have every capability to do this. And, as a Christian, I'm called to go and preach the gospel. And so I reached out to Living Waters to see how I could get involved. And they had a program called the Ambassadors Academy, which was like a 4-day ministry opportunity to where you would go out to California, and you would get trained for 4 days on how to share the gospel with the Living Waters staff.
Gotcha.
And so Sherry and I, my wife and I, got invited to go out in 2008. Fast forward to 2008, and we went out and we got trained how to do that. And I would say, Jeff, ever since that moment, it was a I would say like a light switch moment. It just clicked. And I need to be doing this as much as I can. Because we don't know how much longer we're going to be on this earth. So
yep.
So that kind of it turned from getting trained at Living Waters into coming back home on my own turf and meeting guys here in the local area that actually went out to Living Waters and did the same thing. There's a couple guys that did that in this area. And with Facebook, there's that connection that you can make.
Sure.
And so ever since then, I put together my own little outreach called Preparing the Field. And, like you said, I do the Bible videos. I've been trying to do, open air videos and putting them on YouTube. Being with COVID going on right now, it's been kind of challenging to do that. But hopefully here in the near future, things can get back to normal to where they were before.
Sure. Yeah, I've watched some of your stuff on there. You guys go Chicago, I think even clear up to Kentucky to the big derby up there and some of the big football things and all that.
Yep.
You got a group there, you say in Peoria, you guys just kind of get together and just do like big events, or is there just like maybe every few months, or kind of try to do it every quarter, or how that works?
Well, recently we've been meeting down in Bloomington, or Normal rather, Normal, Illinois, at ISU. And on a weekly basis, on Thursday nights, we get together and we do evangelism there around the college. Other than that, we were going to Chicago about once a month with the Chicago evangelism team is what that's called, a group of guys that I get together with. And the Derby, like you said, that's coming up here in late April. I'm planning to go to that if it's still going to happen. And I've had have involvement with Sports Fan Outreach International, to where I go to a lot of the events they put on, like the Super Bowl outreach, and the Kentucky Derby is one of the outreaches as well.
Sure. Yeah. That's there, boy. I'll tell you, I can imagine some of the stuff you guys go through and that, and some of the people, but I do see a lot. I'm sure there's a lot that do come and want to talk and, and really receive, but it's like more than like I've watched, people on the side of the streets and people just mocking and doing all that stuff. But you know what? I mean, that's what we're here for. I mean, we got to be out there preaching the word either way you look at it, but I put some of that with you guys out there. I mean, is it about the same guys usually go, you say, with you, or?
Usually,
okay.
Yeah. In this area, I meet with guys from Bloomington, from Hopedale, from Galesburg. So,
now,
yeah.
Have they all been kind of through that too, or are these just guys that just, hey, I want to go with you and I'm going to try this, or are they all been through the kind of the training too, or?
I would say just one guy from Bloomington has been through it.
Oh.
In this area. The other guys, they're just, they come from different churches, and they're familiar with the way of the master. All of them are familiar with the way of the master. But we share the gospel as God allows us to and has called us to, and we don't do it a specific way. We don't do it just the way Ray Comfort does it. We preach as we're led. So
just let her go.
Yeah.
Well, one more thing on your your table here. You've got a new book out, and it's only a book, I guess. So
here, let me show you a picture of it.
I know I was sitting there. I had to get into it a little bit and was kind of looking at it and stuff, and I was like, why is it only a book? I'm not. Then I started reading. I'm like, I got exactly what he's coming from. So, but I don't see how anybody. Now, how long did that take you to get that all put together?
I would say over a course of about 2 years, I was writing this book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
2 years. I couldn't even imagine writing 2 pages of anything. I am horrible at that. But I was looking at that book, and that is amazing read. And I looked, that thing's everywhere. I mean, about everywhere you go to buy a book, it's on there. So that is really. Now, was that just pretty much all you getting into the writing of that, or would you have some?
Yeah, that's it came out of doing street evangelism. My friend Ken Heisel from Bloomington, he and I were on a outreach in South Carolina, and we were coming back from the outreach, and we stopped at a McDonald's, and we got into a spiritual conversation with one of the people in line there, and one of his main arguments was, how can I trust the Bible if it's written by men?
Yep.
And this wasn't the first time I've heard that statement. I'm sure you hear it.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And so I was thinking to myself, it really just resonated with me at that time. I would like to write a book on how to respond to that question in a biblical fashion that is satisfactory not only to the skeptic but also to a Christian like myself.
Sure.
You know, how can I don't want to say defend, but what's the argument that I could give that would be satisfactory in a biblical fashion? And so that's how this book was birthed, so to speak.
Yeah, that is a good read and everything. As I said, and that is what most people always say, you know, is like, well, men wrote this thing, you know, and how am I even going to believe this? You know, so I think this here, if somebody has those doubts or wants to know more about that, this is the perfect book right here to be getting it. And it's what, $12, I think, for the soft cover or something like that. And you just type it in, you know, it's only a book out there. You can find that just about anywhere out on the internet. As soon as I typed it in, it was about a half a dozen bookstores out there. So is that something pretty hard to get to sell at other bookstores? I mean, do you know, just call around and say, hey, I got this book I just wrote, or is that just get published out? Or
well, the publisher, Westbow Press Publishing, I always refer people to go to them to buy it, but they are the ones in charge of getting it out to the masses, so to speak. You know, that's why you'll see it on Amazon.com. You'll see it in Barnes and Noble online. But you know, as the book gets more known, I would imagine that it's going to, you know, start finding its way to some bookshelves, you know, in stores somewhere. Yeah. Yeah,
that's pretty
You can even request that. Like, you can even ask your library.
Oh, really?
Say, hey, I'd like to see if you guys would carry this book. You give them all the information, they'll be able to get that book on their shelf.
That would be kind of cool. I'd say just when I was trying to pull more stuff up, I mean, we kind of know each other and stuff. We're same area and stuff. But the more I kept pulling up and just trying to get, and I'm like, man, you've got a lot going on. I mean, you got the band. I mean, you got every day I see you on there, you know, just preaching the word out there, getting it out there. You're writing books, you know, you're posting stuff all the time. I said, man, and then a family, three boys, right?
That's right, 3 boys.
And a wife. So, I mean, you got a full plate, brother. I tell you.
Yeah. And I want to give some credit to my wife. The cover of this art, she took that picture. So my wife, give her credit for that.
Yeah, go with the picture, definitely. Well, they're our better half, I'll tell you. I mean, we couldn't do it without them, I'll tell you. So, well, Justin, I appreciate this. I'd say I don't want to keep you any longer, but I will definitely be putting posts up for all your sites here. I mean, you got the JW Guitar Shop. I mean, I've been watching you doing some guitar stuff on there, and, you know, just all your guitars. You're preparing the fields, you know, and 7th Overture. We'll be looking for you in the future there. Hopefully this COVID just gets out of here. We can start seeing some live bands out there again, definitely. So, again, I appreciate you coming on the show. And like I said, thanks again.
Yep. Thanks for having me, Jeff. I appreciate it.
No problem.